Welcome back to Super Recaps. Today we will see an American spy thriller movie called Red Sparrow. Watch out for spoilers ahead. The movie starts by alternating between our two leads lives in Russia. The first lead, Dominika Egorova, is a popular ballerina who takes care of her sick mother. They visit the doctor and then she leaves her mom with a caretaker and rushes to work. She gets ready for the show and greets the important guests, her uncle Ivan Egorov, deputy director of the Russian secret agency, and his friend Dmitry Ustinov, a Russian criminal who demands a picture with her and uses the opportunity to touch her pervertedly. The show commences, and Dominika is dancing beautifully until her dance partner enters and accidentally jumps on her leg, breaking it. They take her to the hospital right away, where she's taken for surgery. The second lead, Nate Nash, is a CIA agent. We see him answer a phone call from a computerized caller who delivers some phrases to him. He decodes the address of a meeting spot using those phrases and takes his gun before heading for the meeting place. He goes to the location and when he arrives, he realizes he is being trailed by a car. A strange man, known as Marble, is also walking towards him, and Nate gives something to him as they pass by each other. They continue to walk on, pretending nothing happened. The car is still pursuing him. Nate makes a distraction by shooting the floor so the other man can flee. Nate begins sprinting away as the car chases him. He arrives in town and is encircled by police, but he manages to reach the American consulate. Inside, he meets with his superiors, who inform him that the asset is secure, but Nate will still be deported back to the United States for his misstep. The following day, Ivan goes to see the director of the Secret Service, Colonel Zakharov, and General Vladimir Korchnoi is also present. Ivan is shown the video of Nate's meeting last night and they tell him that Nate is a CIA operative who left the country this morning, but their major focus is on the other man in the video and uncovering his identity. The scene then shifts to Dominika, who awakens in the hospital and sees her leg in a metal case. She begins to weep as she realizes she'll never dance again. 3 months have passed since. Ivan pays a visit to Dominika, who is still using a cane to walk. He mentions how the theater has already replaced her and how they'll stop paying for her apartment and covering her mother's medical bills, as she no longer works for them. Ivan expresses his desire to assist her and invites her to come to him when she is prepared. He then leaves after giving her an envelope. When she opens the envelope, she finds images of her dancing partner romantically engaged with her substitute, as well as a tape of a discussion between them that shows he jumped on her intentionally so his lover could take Dominika's position. Later, Dominika goes to the theater to watch them practice. She follows them to the steam room, only to discover them in the midst of sexual activity. In absolute fury, Dominika begins beating them both with her cane before fleeing. On the bus, she notices her hands are splattered with blood and gets off the bus. She stops at a phone booth to report the incident but plays it off as an accident. When she reaches home, she finds her mother fallen on the bathroom floor and the caretaker missing from her duty. Her mother informs her that the caretaker didn't show up because the theater stopped paying her. Dominika rushes to see her uncle for assistance, knowing she has no other option. He agrees to help her if she helps him with a case. He tells her the Secret Service wants to know more about the guy she met at the theater before, Ustinov. Ivan asks her to seduce him and gain his trust through her beauty. Dominika doesn't accept at first, but Ivan persuades her by telling her how he can provide the best doctors for her mother instead of the terrible ones at the state hospital. Dominika travels to the hotel where Ustinov is residing. She wears the given dress and goes to the bar. Ustinov approaches her first and she says she wanted to see him because she needs to feel desired again, and they head to her room. She requests the guards to leave, and Ustinov begins undressing right away, prompting Dominika to do the same. And when she gets closer, Ustinov exploits her immediately. However, the activity is abruptly cut short as a figure in a black helmet approaches behind Ustinov and slits his throat. The man removes the body from her and asks her to be quiet. He gives her a coat to hide her blood-covered body and they escape through a back door. He shoots a worker in the parking area before they get on his bike and ride away to an abandoned building. Once safe, the man removes his helmet, revealing Sergei Maturin, another Secret Service agent dispatched by Ivan, who is in the same building and watching everything with Korchnoi through cameras. When Korchnoi says she's an eyewitness and should be killed, Ivan says she could be valuable. Ivan goes to visit Dominika and admits he knew what was going to happen but didn't tell her since she would have refused his proposal if she had known. He then offers to send her to an academy to be trained as an agent because she is so excellent at it. But if she declines he won't be able to protect her, so she has no choice but to accept. Dominika arrives at the institution a few days later. The headmistress of Sparrow School, Matron, greets her upon arrival. Before escorting Dominika to her room, she gives her a fake identity to use at school. Classes begin shortly after that. During class, Matron discusses how the modern world is in disarray and how Russia is the only country prepared to make sacrifices to restore order. She tells them they'll be trained to be sparrows, spies who excel in seduction and emotional manipulation. Dominika and another student, Victor, are asked to step forward and instructed to strip in front of everyone. Victor complies without hesitation, but Dominika does not. Matron chastises her for it. The movie then returns to Nate, who has been contacted by the CIA's discipline committee and notified that he can't leave the country and will be suspended for his failure in Russia. Nate argues that their spy, Marble, wouldn't trust anyone except Nate as they've been working together for 3 years, but he is ignored. Back at the academy, Matron informs them in a lecture that they must be able to recognize what their targets desire. She plays various videos as examples for them to learn from. In the first video, Victor guesses incorrectly, and Dominika corrects him, making him dislike her. Another female student correctly guesses the second one, and she is asked to come ahead and told she must please the man in the video. The man is hauled into the classroom in handcuffs. She gets on her knees but is unable to bring herself to do it, so she collapses on the floor in tears. Matron informs all of the trainees that they must learn to fold their bodies and demonstrate some simple seduction techniques. The scene shifts to the United States. Nate notices he is being followed and alerts his bosses. He discovers that they haven't heard from Marble, and he uses the opportunity to remind them that if Nate approaches Marble, he will talk. They come to an agreement. They won't send him to Russia, but they can send him to a nearby nation so the Russian Secret Service knows he's there and Marble can reappear. Nate agrees to bring the squad with him. Meanwhile, at school, the students are asked to greet a group of troops who have recently returned from war. Dominika selects a young man and leads him to her room, where she skillfully pleasures him. Matron and the students examine all of the films of their performances with the soldiers later that day. Matron assures Dominika that her performance was good, but she still hasn't been able to give herself fully. Dominika takes a shower after class, and she is molested by Victor. She protects herself by grabbing the water tap and striking him with it. Meanwhile, Ivan, Korchnoi, and Zakharov are contemplating Nate's relocation to Budapest. They want to handle him somehow, but they know that the president does not want them to do anything that could be perceived as hostile to the United States. Ivan suggests delegating the mission to someone else. Later that day, Matron and a recently arrived Korchnoi confront Dominika about her attack on Victor. Matron believes she still has potential and Korchnoi requests a minute alone with Dominika. He asks Dominika again when everyone else has left the room, and she explains that she owes and serves her country, not her classmate. He lets her go back to class, where Matron summons her to the front while Korchnoi observes via a security camera. Matron shows Dominika a picture of Victor and asks her what he wants. When Victor enters the class, Matron instructs her to give him what he desires. When Victor tells her to turn around, Dominika refuses. She undresses whilst telling him to watch her, and after she's fully naked, she sits on the table with her legs apart, appealing to him to take her. Victor can't get it up and flees when she mocks him about it. Then Dominika responds to Matron's question. What Victor wants is power. Korchnoi is amazed. Matron soon revisits Dominika and informs her that she has a mission in Moscow. A few days later, Dominika is with her mom when she receives a phone call instructing her to go to a restaurant. When she arrives, she sees Ivan and he tells her about her next mission. She'll be dispatched to Budapest to seduce Nate and earn his trust so she can discover who their spy is. He provides her with a new passport and paperwork bearing a fake name. Dominika leaves shortly after. She arrives in Budapest a few days later and settles into an apartment she'll share with another Sparrow, Marta. She then meets her supervisor, Station Chief Maxim Balantov, and inquires about Nate. She then follows Nate to figure out his habits. Dominika begins going to the swimming pool which Nate goes to, and she allows him to approach her when they exit the building. They talk for a while, but Dominika plays hard to get, making up a narrative about being an embassy translator. The next day, though, she does not see Nate at the pool, and the receptionist informs her that her ID has been stolen. Nate, it turns out, already knows she isn't who she claims to be. He reports to his bosses that she's been using multiple names and he connects the dots to Ivan. He considers her valuable and believes that the use of her true name is a challenge. After some resistance, his supervisors permit him to approach her and gather information. Dominika visits the embassy after traveling to Volantov to discuss her progress and requests an embassy pass. At the embassy, she discovers Marta speaking with Stephanie Boucher, an American senator. Nate catches her attention, saying he was the one who stole her ID at the pool and invites her to a restaurant the following day at 8 o'clock. Dominika agrees and leaves. Dominika returns to her flat and investigates Marta's room, discovering that she has been purchasing intelligence from Boucher. Marta comes back home but does not suspect Dominika. She delivers Dominika a copy of the report Volantov sent to Moscow. Dominika has seemingly made an enemy. She follows Volantov into a pub the next day and asks him to get her some more time by writing a good report. When he refuses, she drives him to hit her by making fun of his small manhood. His assault is now captured on surveillance cameras, and Dominika threatens him with taking the footage to the police unless he writes a better report. Meanwhile, Nate sits alone, waiting for Dominika. He thinks she has stood him up and leaves the restaurant, unknowing that Dominika is following him. Nate returns to his apartment and receives another secret code on the phone, which he swiftly notes down and decodes. It says Vienna. He's ready to leave when a tearful Dominika rings his doorbell, and he lets her in. Dominika tells him her boss attacked her. When Nate wonders how she knows his address, she turns up the volume on the television so nobody can hear them. Dominika questions him about what happened in that Russian park and kisses him when he tells her. Nate tells her to leave and figure out what she truly wants. Ivan visits her the next day before departing for Vienna. He inquires about her progress with Nate because their bosses are growing impatient. Dominika lies by saying she's also helping Marta on her Boucher case, but she'll need more money. Ivan accepts and asks her to bring his coat. She discreetly examines his passport as she gets his coat. Marta confronts Dominika with her gun after he's gone. She overheard the lie and is outraged because the Boucher case is meant to be hers. Dominika pledges to give her all the credit and additional money and says she lied to buy time. Marta accepts mainly because she has no other option. Next, Dominika goes to Vienna and opens a bank account there. Meanwhile, Marta pays a visit to Volontov and informs him that she knows how to dispose of Dominika. Dominika comes back home to find Marta dead in the bathtub. Sergei arrives behind her and threatens her. He tells her to pass the message that this is what happens to people who reveal secrets. He also instructs her to notify the cops before he leaves. On the other hand, Nate is telling his bosses about his meeting with Marble in Vienna. Marble has given him proof that Dominika is a Sparrow, which makes Nate think she'd be useful to have on their side. Elsewhere, Dominika is being questioned by the cops, but she doesn't give them any information. When she leaves, Nate is waiting for her outside the station. They return to his house, where he admits he knows she's an agent. Dominika responds by telling him her story, emphasizing how she just cares about her mother. Nate asks her to be his double agent, offering her security, but she says she needs to sleep, so he shows her his room. She leaves the room later that night and approaches Nate. She questions if she can trust him, and after he assures her, they make love. The next day, Dominika agrees to work for him and leaves. She writes a false report on Nate, claiming she has him in her hand. Then she goes to her house to await his signal, which is just a phone call playing her favorite song. She is called to meet Nate's superiors, who subject her to a lie detector test to determine whether she is trustworthy. She passes the test and demands money. They mock her at first, but they change their minds when she says she can give them Boucher. The entire squad travels to London to see Boucher. Dominika is given a special hotel suite arranged by the CIA, complete with surveillance cameras and a set of discs hidden under a desk to be exchanged for the genuine ones later. Soon afterward, when she is waiting for Boucher at the bar, she is taken aback by the abrupt entrance of Volontov, who claims to want to assist. Dominika sends him to her room because his presence will frighten Boucher. Boucher then arrives and Dominika approaches her, claiming that Marta sent her. Boucher dislikes the change and is going to leave, but Dominika persuades her to stay by threatening her with dangerous images and mentioning the money. Both women enter Dominika's room, where Volontov awaits. They give Boucher the money, who then gives them the discs, and Dominika takes them to her computer to verify their authenticity when she's actually swapping them with the fake discs. They order Boucher to wait an hour and leave the hotel, but Boucher is nervous and intoxicated, so she leaves too soon. When she goes outside, she becomes terrified when she realizes she's being followed, so she drops the money in a dumpster and crosses the street, where she is hit and killed by a truck. Dominika and Volontov are in the car when this occurs, and he instantly gets a call. He informs Dominika that they have been ordered to return to Moscow right now and takes her passport. When they get to Moscow, Ivan arrests Volontov and takes the CDs from him. Both he and Dominika are suspected of assisting the Americans. When questioned about it, she denies it, so they torture her in various ways for the true answer, but she stays strong. She's even shown a video of Volontov being shot because he lied, and when held at gunpoint, she lies again and nothing happens. Ivan takes charge at that point, and Dominika manipulates him into defending her. She is permitted to go back home, but when she arrives, she feels so filthy that she refuses to let her mother hug her. After a tense meeting with Korchnoi and Zakharov, Ivan goes to his apartment to meet Dominika. He tells her they've accepted her wish to continue working on the Nate mission, and she kisses him goodbye. Dominika travels back to Budapest to see Nate. They proceed to his apartment, where he explains his concerns over her sudden release. Dominika persuades him to move her and her mother to America and to provide her with more money, and he agrees. They then make love. Dominika wakes up in the middle of the night when she hears a commotion and goes to the kitchen to discover Sergei hurting Nate. She first claims to be on his side, even assisting him in torturing Nate in order to learn the identity of the mole. When Sergei becomes distracted, she strikes him and assists Nate in cutting the straps that confine him to the chair. They all engage in a brief fight, but Sergei slips, and Dominika seizes the opportunity to kill him. She awakens in a hospital and goes outside to smoke. Korchnoi approaches her and reveals himself to be Marble. He believes he will be caught soon and does not want his death to be worthless, so he requests that Dominika expose him so that she can become a national hero and take his position as a mole. She doesn't respond, but after he departs, she checks if Nate's okay and leaves too. She surrenders to the police and requests to see the Russian ambassador. When she is transported to him, She instructs him to phone Zakharov and inform him that she has the identity of the mole, which she will offer him in exchange for her release. The exchange will take place later that night at an airport. Nate will accompany her on the journey to verify the identification of the mole, and she must not attempt to escape or she will be killed. Nate is furious with her because he believes she has betrayed him, but she has a surprise in store. When the Russians remove the bag off the mole's face, it turns out, it's not Korchnoi, but her uncle Ivan instead. It's revealed that Dominika has worked to frame him since the day she came to Budapest. Nate instantly realizes what is going on and verifies Ivan is the mole. Following the exchange, Ivan is shot by the Russians and Dominika is taken to Russia on a helicopter. She's been declared a hero and is permitted to live happily ever after with her mother. The film concludes with her receiving a phone call playing her favorite song. Thanks for watching. To support the channel, make sure to subscribe and hit the like button and press the bell icon to get new video updates.